From esports, trying to find an angle they can, trying to find somebody out of position.
We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a roll! We're gonna deflect. White gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments.
A beast mode has killed 3. Only gonna really need that rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Santi gonna get themselves a big old 4K. Oh. Santi's getting rid of 3, clearing out the house.
That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now Saga is hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick under Leaky. They're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the day. Manages to find a 3K.
Rio shoving this Ana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio.
That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3 Melophobia. Start the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Beagle Bus, they have to play aggressively into this energy. Popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh my goodness. The 4th one as well. Do they get the ace? They get the ace.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back after a week of absence. The playoffs are here in CGL Season 14. We've got a matchup here in the round 1 of our EU PC Open tier between 0907, the mid-season champions, and Completely Melted. Sam, are you ready to get the playoffs rolling?
And it's playoff time. It's a different atmosphere. It's a win or go home. This is all your hard work goes into it. This is all the team preparation. There's nothing like playoff time. So I'm hyped. You're hyped. I'm just glad to be here.
Yeah, and also thanks to Ryderis for that absolutely sick playoff intro video. Incredible as always. But into this series. Like I said, 0907 was the mid-season champion, so they got that extra win on their record. But at the end of the day, in the back half of the season, they went 2-2, and one of those losses came to Completely Melted. So even though they do finish in that top half, and they got to, I don't know, I don't remember. I think they did. I don't think they selected. Actually, I don't think they got to pick their opponent. They were the last ones up on the top half of the standings, so they kind of just got given Completely Melted to play here today. This is going to be really, really interesting because, like I said, week 5, the week after 0907 wins that mid-season championship, Completely Melted comes in and beats them 3-1. So this is a rematch of a few weeks ago. And so I am really, really interested to see, does 0907 come back out swinging after, a bit of a misstep in the back half of the regular season, or is Completely Melted going to be able to bring it out and do the same thing that they did the last time?
That's interesting to see. I believe we had a patch right after that, so the meta stayed the same. But yeah, like if you're Completely Melted, you go, hey, we beat them once. If you're 0907, you go, okay, we lost to them. We can't do it again because now it's for the championship. This includes like the prize pools and everything. There's kind of more on the line right here. So I'm expecting both teams to have those two mindsets, and I'm expecting a very highly competitive, like a chess match of back and forth to see who can outplay and outcoach and outsmart the other. So we're in for a great series. Any one of these two teams can win the game.
Yeah, and speaking of games, there's going to be a lot of them going on today to kick off the playoffs here on this beautiful Tuesday. Of course, 0907 Completely Melted right now, but later this afternoon, Urei Mirai goes up against the Big Ballers, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that is also in the EU PC Open tier. And then a couple of NA matchups tonight. BSC Bobcats versus Arise. That is going to be a banger match for everybody to look forward to. Go check that one out. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then SCAD B Sports Black versus Kojin Endangered as well. So a bunch of matches to be played here on this very first day of the playoffs. And this is just the beginning. Someone is going to get crowned champion here in just a few weeks.
Yeah, it's always special for playoff time. That's where like all the teams just kind of hype up each other up and actually play on their P's and Q's. During a regular season, you might see a misstep, you may see a misclick, or something. Or may try to experiment. Now in the playoffs, in the mid-season tournament and playoffs specifically, you know what you're getting. Know what they're playing. They're not going to diverge off what they don't know. They're play their strengths. They're going to play their heroes. So this is where it's like amplified up to 10, and it's going to be a full-on banger. It's going to be just balls to the wall. Whoever can make the biggest plays and the least mental mistakes.
Could not agree more. But now, this is, like I said, the very first day of the playoffs. So these brackets are not entirely filled out just yet. Well, not really filled out at all. But we've got our EU PC Open tier bracket, which actually quite a few of these matches are happening today. TEC Turquoise Wisp is happening in just a couple of hours, unfortunately. Not going to have a stream for that one, but 0907 and Completely Melted will go, the winner of this will go up against the winner of that game. And then, of course, later this afternoon, it's Urei Mirai versus Big Ballers. And to round out the first round of this EU PC Open tier bracket, Everfrog and Big Man Ting. I mean, like I said, not super deep just yet. It's just round 1, so still a lot of Overwatch to be played as we get ready to head into this match.
Yeah, especially like with these teams right now. All these teams have played really great in tournament and up to now. So it could be, to me, it's like who gets hot at the right time. Like you could, be like 500 or barely get in, but if you get hot at the right time, ride that streak to a championship. You know, you're the number 1 seed, and you've proved it time and time again. You can keep doing what worked for you and ride it all the way to a championship. So, it's basically one of those, when you get in the dance, you got just as good a shot as anybody to win it. So all of those teams have a legit shot to win the championship.
Could not agree more, but one of these teams, like you said, is going to have to win today. Let us introduce y'all to our lineups. First up, 0907, the defending mid-season champions, Turbo Smooth Sahara on the DPS, Willie on that tank, and Jonowich and Ducky in the backline. This team, we've seen what they can do. We've seen what they can be. The back half of their season, it was a little bit of a slip, a bit of a misstep. So it's not going to be an easy job for Completely Melted to get the revenge or get the back-to-back wins on 0907, because we know what this roster is capable of. The question is, are they going to be able to return to that mid-season form?
Yeah, it's one of those, as a guy that works and goes to college for it, it's hard to beat a good team. Harder to beat a good team back-to-back times. So it's very, very, anybody can win this game, but looking at this lineup, you know what 0907 brings to the lineup, you know what they bring to the table, and they're the number 1 seed for a reason.
All right, let's get a look at the other side of this matchup. Completely Melted, not quite in the top half of the, seeding, but still a very, very respectable season indeed. Kurama, D-Cruz on the DPS, Lunar on the tank, and Rod FD and Tom X on that backline. They, struggled a little bit. Actually, not even that much. They only lost 2 games that they actually played. That week 8 match between Big Man Ting and Completely Melted, I guess, just never happened. I'm not really sure what happened there, because both of the teams, they got a loss for that. But ultimately, they only lost 2 of the games that they played, and one of the wins that they've got, like I said, is that 0907 win in week 5, and now that was a month ago, right? And so it's going to be really interesting, because we do have our map pick. It's going to be 0907 selecting Busan here early. So this is where we're going to start to try and see if 0907 will get their revenge on Completely Melted, or, well, Completely Melted going to be able to get the back-to-back.
Yeah, and the one thing to remember is this is first to 3 losers. So even if you lose like map, you get your pick of map 2, and then so on and so forth. So you can pick your comfort maps for the different variations of maps if you lose. So even if it's like, oh, we got blown out, hey, we get to pick our map choice of like what we want to attack or defend, and so that could play into a lot of strategies and a lot of different play styles. Like you could see Ramatra be Ramatra Brawl, you could see a dive. It's gonna be very interesting to see.
Well, we're not going to see either of those. It'll be a Malga versus a Sigma here early. Completely Melted on the right there. Depsy on this Malga trying to run into the face of 0907. Still, a lot of space to be gained, and not a whole lot in that speed department until that Hyper Ring comes out. Now going to run in. Not going to find any damage with that stomp, as Bones is able to get around the corner. Nice little cleanse there onto Depsy to pick them right back up after the accretion from Willie. Completely Melted has the positioning on the point, but Ducky is just poking and poking and poking from afar. The disruptor shot, very annoying, and as Rod goes down, it'll be a lot of healing dispatched for the side of Completely Melted, and Depsy seems to realize that, going to run out, but Karama will not give it up. Gonna go right back in on top of the drum, get that deflect rolling, and able to survive, weather the storm. And unfortunately, even with Cardiac Overdrive in play, Depsy cannot survive the Pulse Bomb, and Completely Melted will falter in the first fight.
Like right there, Tracer, even for all she's, all the changes and everything, that pulse bomb and her burst damage is enough. If you get lucky enough to get a tank, now you get instead of a squishy. And you got to be aware of Tracer. If there's no stuns or anything, Tracer can harass your tank, can harass the backline, can make time a whole lot miserable for those tank and support players.
All right, well, Depsy putting pressure onto this backline. The Gravitic Flux out from Willie, going to pick up only one, but Depsy is so very low. This Kitsune Rush, though, good enough to keep Depsy in the fight. But Orbital Ray comes down, and John Witch does not receive the benefits of that ultimate. You see Willie is so damn low, and there's just not enough healing without John Witch in the game and chasing down at these late staggers, and it'll be completely Melted taking over.
They're going to easily flip it right here after all the 3 picks. So if you're John Witch, you really wanted more, people to use your Orbital Ray right there, which would have, maybe would have helped out. Maybe you got 50-60%. But if you're completely melted, you'd take that. Now the biggest thing is you got the Dragon Blade versus the Transcendent. So it's going to see which of these 2 ults gets baited out first for this engagement.
All right, well, I mean, Ducky very, very disciplined on not pulling that ultimate. The tactical buys are good for Kurama. Finding a lot of damage out here on to these supports, and Sahara will be able to, gonna get help cleaning that up, but as Ducky cleans up Tomex and Depsy, it'll be 0907 taking over one more time.
There, look at the Dragon Blade and look at the Transcendence. Instead, it was Sahara with the Tech Visor, able to get 2 picks right there, and that 2 picks opens everything up. So right now, I'm looking to see if Dipsy's going to get ult here with Mwaga, and who they're going to try to capture. I'm assuming they're going to try to get for the supports, but we shall see.
All right, well, Dragon Blade gets pulled by Kurama, and the cage fight will just wait this ultimate out. Such an insanely powerful ultimate. It is indeed just going to rip through that shield, and the Gravitic Flux. Willie, buddy, what are you doing? That's too much damage to try and get that one off. And the staggers will come out. John Witch tries to delay the cap, but Completely Melted will get that job done.
Yeah, that may have been a misclick, Willie, in any event. Like, really, I think D-Cruz is the closest to an ult right now, beside of Completely Melted. So it's probably going to be a pokey damage versus try to get a little brawl in there, trying to see between these 2 teams who gets the first big pick. But D-Cruz's ult could easily open up a lot right here.
All right, D-Crew ints. That was an int. Very lucky that Kurama is able to get the trade onto Sahara, so still a 4 versus 4 fight, and Depsy from the top going to be able to get the stomp, but no knocks down there. As they force a disengage from Willie, it'll be one more fight to decide this first sub-map.
On this engagement, at 2 orbital rays, and they're probably going to go back to Bagger Truck to see who can get your baited first, and it's going to be an all-out war.
All right, orbital rays down, as well as the overclock from a Cruz, and able to dispatch of a Jonowich, and the orbital rays, followed up by that overclock, is more than enough to stack the deck against 0907. Completely Melted. Gonna take the first sub-map.
They won that first map, but the one thing I look at is the tanks, where neither tank ult really did that much for the most part. It was more or less the DPSs getting their ults and using their stuff, and now it looks like Willie is switching over to the Zarya, and
Really not, right? Like,
he's going to the Brig for the Tracer. We're gonna have a Sojourn duel. So 0907 completely switch, not really completely keeping the Juno, but swapping up their team composition.
I mean, for as good as Malga is at blowing Sigma up, I feel like he's even better at just ripping apart Zarya. I don't know if I agree, but I guess we'll have to see, as Willie gonna try to get this one done. One bubble out early, only 15 charge they get for it. Depsy already on the point, but Bones able to dispatch of Rod. The bubble going to defend, and I mean, I'm already eating my words as 0907 going to be able to grab this first flip after some, you know, well-timed picks from Bones.
Yeah, Bones got good picks. The only one that didn't die was Dipsy the tank, but only 15% ult charge versus Willie's at 24. So I would wonder if you swap off Mwaga, do you try something else? But right now it looks like the Zarya for the most part is kind of working.
Right, Willie trying to get that job done. Bones so damn low, able to weather that storm, stay alive. Does not have deflect, and the cleanse gonna come out as well as the cardiac overdrive. Unfortunately for Completely Melted, they're not able to get that pick onto Bone. Well, you know, that's a caster curse moment right there, but it is a 1-for-1 trade and a capture for Completely Melted. So will deny several percentage here from 0907 in spite of ultimately losing this point, or fight rather.
They were able to flip it right there, but when they flipped it, Dipsy died, and without your tank, there's just no sustainability, and it allowed Willie and everybody else to get extra picks. So that's going to be staggers on the side of Completely Melted, and Willie is so close to the Graviton Surge, and there's really nothing, none of the supporters can really do anything to get out of Graviton Surge, except for the Genji could deflect at him if it's timed properly.
Alright, Bones with the bubble on them, trying to stay alive. The Graviton Surge will come out, and a bit of a body block there, trying to defend the Genji in the grab as Willie goes in. Now the Orbital Ray comes down, Dragon Blade pulled by Bones. Bones cuts down Depsy, cuts down Tom X, and will look for their mirror image, but Willie cleans that one up, and the ultimate dump is good, but that was expensive.
It was good, but damn, it was expensive. You drop Blade, you drop Grab, you drop both support ults. You have the Sojourner, but jeez, you dumped everything that. But you're 80%. One team fight away from tying this up.
I mean, such an early fight here in this area. I mean, they just wanted to deny the time, the pressure on the point, and they will end up winning the fight for Completely Melted. They're going to be able to grab this point right back.
They're going to flip it, but it's 98% versus 15. But on Completely Melted, you do have two ults you could use. 0907, you really don't have anything. But if you just poke it out and wait, if you could, and bait out one or two ults and maybe lose one person, come back, re-engage with person. If you get your ults, you could flip it and tie this up as we go to the third map in the King of the Hill series.
Alright, well, a little bit of aggression in here, and the cage fight going to come in, and yeah, Willie, unfortunately, I respect the Zarya pick. You don't win that in a cage fight, and Completely Melted will be able to retain their hold on the point after only using one ult.
That's what you want, is to use one ult, and is the Dipsy ult, is the Mwaga. But now you got D-Cruz has the Sojourn ult, so you could use that. You being just target one of the guys that does not get bubbled, and one or two picks like that stalls this one out to where it's this one team fight engagement, which is after this one. So let's just see when D-Cruz is going to pop ult, or they're going to try to target.
Well, Dragon Blade in the hands of Bones, and D-Cruz able to escape, and the Dragon Blade will be useless. And I mean, Kurama doesn't even need theirs to pop, but wait, this could have been big. Depsy is dead, but Kurama with the blade keeps Completely Melted of the water, and they will be coming back into this fight at 90%. Kurama stays alive. It is just Willie left. Tumex and Rod FD have almost got their ultimates, and we're gonna see the Mauga run right back in, and unfortunately, this rally will not have very many people to apply that overhealth to, and Completely Melted come out swinging. They're gonna take map number 1 here on Busan.
That was a huge team kill to end the game. That was probably an emphatic statement for Completely Melted of, okay, beat you guys last time. We're gonna come out, we're say it's not a fluke, and they played their butts off, and they were solid. MC Bones with the play of the game right here. Genji.
Yeah, I mean, everybody kind of fragged out near the end of that map for Completely Melted. It was an absolute team effort. I mean, you know, the Malga ultimate is the cage fight is such an interesting one because it's so hit or miss, right? It can, you either explode or you explode the other players in that ultimate. And it was very, very intelligent, I believe, to use that ultimate to single out the opposing tank. Both times we saw cage fight be used, it was to solo ult 0907. And Willie was the only one in that ultimate, and both times Willie just got eviscerated. And you know, it's not an ultimate that you get a whole lot, but when Depsy did throw that down, they were both times very, very strong. And I mean, after that, you know, especially in that last fight, right, or those last few fights after they capped it the last time. It was such a good job. They did so well for themselves, pacing themselves, not using as many resources as they, you know, probably could have to win these fights. So they had the ultimates to go into the back half of this map and ultimately win it out.
Yeah, the one thing with the cage fight is, yeah, you're Zarya. Yeah, you can bubble yourself. That bubble doesn't last forever, and Mwaga's gonna just melt that bubble and just melt that in the damage over time. And then he does his cardiac overdrive to heal himself up, and the brig could give shield like across the map or at a different angle. So all of a sudden, then it's like Mwaga can stay up. Zarya get the same thing, and Mwaga's just steadily 300 bullets. You gotta have so much shield, so much health, so much resource just to survive that alone.
Could not agree more. But now we get ready to head to map number 2. It's going to be hybrid, and it'll be 0907's map selection one more time here. We've got an option between Blizzard World, Eichenwald, Hollywood, or Kings Row. Frankly, it's impressive that we didn't see Lijiang Tower for map number 1. I remember last playoffs, it was you know, probably a 98% pick rate for Lijiang Tower going into Kings Row for map number 2. So I'm gonna be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Kings Row. Hey, I'm ecstatic to be wrong though, because we are going to Hollywood for map number 2, and I expect that means that 0907 wants to dive.
Yeah. No. Eva was super strong at one time. Winston, I'm a Winston guy since the 2016 days. I could still come out because I watched some Hard Blue play Wrecking Ball on that map last night. Yeah, we could see dive very easily. I'm interested to see which of the 3 dive tanks they go with, if they are going dive. Would we see a Widow and try to headshot across the map on one of them high grounds? We'll see.
I mean, that's an interesting question, right? I feel like Widow is, you know, she's not like a mainstay by any means, but she's not an uncommon pick on Hollywood. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Widowmaker. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't. And if I'm trying to listen and see if I recognize noises. It's okay. So yeah, I was listening. I heard the scope in sound, but it was Ana. Of course, it was Ana. And 0907, they will be on the dive. Completely Melted, on the other hand, are absolutely not trying to dive. They do not want to mess with this dive shenaniganry. They're still on the Malga. So, and for that matter, they seem to understand that 0907 wants to dive because they've got D Cruz on the Reaper.
Yeah. Looking at this, I like both Ana picks because if the Winston Willie dives in, can get naded. And the opposite end of, like, if Depsy gets the cage fight going up, you can nade the Mwaga, and Mwaga will get no healing or anything. And now Row 50 just switched over to the Juno.
All right, well, in from Depsy, a nice little adjustment there by Willie to avoid that Malga. Now there is a trade. Ducky for crews. A significant amount of healing has been dispatched of for 0907, and Kurama, unfortunately, that drill run will not get you up to the high ground, as the rest of Completely Melted will try to escape with their lives.
They're escaping. They're trying to pick out. Bones is just trying to poke, do some damage. Like, Completely Melted is still sticking with their same starting 5. So far, the dives get a little more ult charge versus Mwaga, but we shall see what happens in this engagement.
All right, Bones still in the back line on the high ground. Wants to deal with this Malga. A little bit of a dive going to come through as the Tracer is being such a nuisance from Bones. Willie, will Willie live? The answer's no. No jump in sight for Willie. Depsy, you see, is very, very low, so can't get super aggro until, you know, the healing comes through from Tom X, and that will be at least a tick or two. Do they know that there's an on the high ground? Cleanse comes through. Ducky goes down. Another tick gonna come through as Bob will not be able to touch the point. But the rest of 0907 will, a couple of players on this point. Recall comes out of the Tracer as Rod throws down the orbital ray, and there will be a posthumous trade there from Kurama. It will put Completely Melted ahead. And, you know, they're going to win this fight just getting out so many resources from 0907 in spite of it.
Yeah, they're doing camping right there. Really popped ult, tried to knock him off, tried to stabilize, but it just wasn't working. The biggest thing is Bones and Willie got took out first, then it was Docky. And then it was, you know, just John Wick and Sahara, and Sahara had the ult, but when Bob couldn't touch point, that allowed Completely Melted to get more ult to, you know, stabilize and hide behind the cart and get the payload rolling. So as of right now, it looks like Willie is switched over to the Diva now, and I think that's it for the swaps.
All right, up to the high ground goes Willie on the Diva. They've got their support ultimates, but Completely Melted only needed the orbital ray in that fight to take A. So, I mean, the resource game is definitely in their hands. Depsy just putting out a lot of damage, being so annoying to Willie, and Depsy going to just walk right by this backline, and cage fight will come down. But the nano boost is the answer. Kurama with the tectonic shock, and it's going to be good for Sahara. The damage is excellent. 3 for a 2 trade there, but I cannot imagine they want to invest this Kitsune Rush unless they need it. And will they be able to take out Willie? Tom X very low, gets the TP away, and I mean, they're gonna have to play it safe as respawns come from both sides.
They're going to play it safe. The one problem is right there is Completely Melted ain't nobody on cart for all that time. So that's why it's there for the longest. You gotta have always someone touching that cart.
Oh, no. Yeah, Depsy falls first here. Bones able to track down Rod FD, and I mean, it will be 0907 standing tall with 2.5 minutes on the clock.
Right now, look at this in this engagement. Willie has self-destruct. You can self-destruct on point. Really and truly. Oh, that's a huge nade.
Able to deny the push there. We'll be waiting for Tom X to return very, very promptly. I mean, that TP, that swift step will be, yeah, I mean, not that far away from the spawn door. Get right back into the fight. Willie on this high ground, already on fire again. Bones in the backline trying to find a pick with their Diva, but not able to do so just yet. They turn around to see that there is somebody on the payload, and unfortunately for Kurama and Rod, and ultimately Completely Melted, they will be pushed back as they just gained a little bit of extra meterage.
They gain a little bit, but a little bit also helps. The biggest thing is, like, Willie's got ult, and Willie can just self-destruct on point, just zone them all off and just hold it till he needs to hold it. Bones has the and that can easily take out either the supports. And now D-Crew switches to the Widow. So we get some Widow play coming on.
All right, that's going to be very, very interesting as we head into this last little bit of this attack. Potentially a minute 10 on the clock. Pressure on the point by Kurama. who is just going at it with Bones on the cart at the moment. Nano Boost going to come out onto the Diva. And, I mean, for as much damage as Malga can do, a Nano Boosted Diva can do that much more. Now, 45 seconds on the clock for Completely Melted on their B attack.
Yeah, looks like
That's
that
gonna be
now.
brutal.
Looks like 0907 is stabilized right now. Looks like there's, you know, more and more like the #1 seed. It's gonna be interesting to see. I think you're gonna probably see both supportals come out, or at least maybe staggered, and then maybe try to get the cage fight going to try to get somebody singled out.
I mean, it kind of feels like they're overstepping boundaries time after time. I mean, just not able to survive. Nice little body shot there. Now tectonic shock in from the side of Kurama. There's nobody on the ground. Okay, a little bit of damage, but as Sleep comes through, immediately woken up. The anti will not come through as Bones is actually in their backline. Self-destruct very, very much in play here. This Diva putting a lot of pressure onto Rod. The orbital ray not going to be enough to completely stabilize, especially now that it has run its course away from the cage fight as Debsy falls. Completely Melted hopes do as well. 0907 hold at 105.47 meters here on Hollywood B.
Yeah, that was a good hold right there. I'm with you, you know, to make it overstep some stuff. But I also think when Willie switched to Diva, that could eat with the defense matrix a lot of those bullets and farm his Diva bomb. And with no shield, this is so, like, it's just a good blast radius that you gotta use as a zoning technique. 0907, I think, stabilized right there. Looking at this, wonder if 0907, like you said at the beginning, is gonna go dive and try to dive and get the point. So we shall see.
The answer seems to be, I mean, yes, ultimately. It's not... I think the Malga is proving to be a little bit more annoying than they would like it to be. So they're not gonna be on that Winston, because I imagine that's what they want to do. That's what they came out on the defense initially. But unfortunately, Malga Reaper is just we'll call it frustrating to play against as a Winston. It is so much damage in the face of our favorite scientist. So Diva, I think, is the right pick. A bunch of damage. Those micro missiles, so strong, but the main focal point is that defense matrix. The defense matrix eats so much of what the Malga can do. It lasts, what 3.5, 4 seconds? That is such a long time in the context of Overwatch. So this defense matrix is really the pivotal point as we head into the attack of 0907. In it goes the Malga of Debsy, gonna find the stomp, and I mean, Kurama just ripped to bits. And I mean, Bones does end up getting traded, but the spawns will be very, very close. So Completely Melted will back down to the point as 0907 takes the high ground.
Yeah, the one thing I think, Bones is on the far, and really nobody to, you know, match the far right there. Your Jones will get a lot more charge.
That was such a good ante on it to Debsy, unfortunately for Completely Melted. Now going to try and put some pressure on this Reaper that they know is in the staircase. Wraith form forced out, now pressure onto the back line. Willie knowing when and where to attack. Reaper still behind. Now going to TP into the front side as Malga enters the fray once again. Almost 2 ticks, or over 2 ticks, almost 3 in its entirety. As D-Cruz does actually jump on to Bones on the high ground at the top of the elevator. And some nice moves there from Tom X to avoid death at the hands of this Diva as Willie continues to put pressure on at this point. People are just not dying until Debsy. Everybody gets a piece of Debsy there. And finally, Completely Melted will be tracked down. And 0907 takes A with a considerable time bank.
You do right there. I figured Kurama switched to Tracer, which I like Tracer for the pokey damage, but lowest health out of anybody. So for me, again, Bones as the Pharah, very few pressure, very few anything. Now you got 4.5 minutes to push it. Pretty much not quite all the way to the second point.
Oh,
but
good lord.
there. Jesus Christ, man.
Okay, so Dempsey is dead again. The Nano Boost is out on the Bones, not Willie this time. And they are just finding Dempsey out time after time. And they're going to switch to D.Va.
So we have a Diva v Diva duel right now.
A lot of Bs.
So a lot of defense matrices going on, a lot of strokes going on. I would assume both
A lot of defense
rally,
matrix.
both rallies probably come out.
I mean, not much space to give either here as we head in for another 3.5 minutes. Is so much time. Sahara with the Bob ready to go, keeping an eye on Kurama, not able to find that pick. Sahara throws out our best friend Robert. The Reaper goes into the background onto the high ground. And I mean, that's going to be a lot of damage, and Cruz just eviscerated. Bob drops Dempsey in that Pilot Diva form, and I mean, just a dominant performance here from 0907 on Hollywood as they are going to take us to parity in map number 2.
That looked like a completely different 09017 when they can run the dive. Like, they look completely different, like they were more in their comfort zone versus Completely Melted. Looked like they wanted to brawl more than anything. Remember, it is loser pick, so it's interesting to see if Completely Melted are going to try to say, if you want to go high dive maps to run dive, we can run brawl maps, we can brawl. So that's what I'm thinking is going to happen, but we shall see.
All right, well, it's going to be an interesting one because I believe all 4 of the map picks that we have for quote-unquote Clash Point, they are very flexible, we'll call it. It's very possible to run kind of whatever you want on these maps. Of course, there's only 4 of these such maps in the game: Hanaoka, New Junk City, Throne of Anubis, and Surabasa. But out of those 4 maps, my intuition leads me to Completely Melted either picking Throne of Anubis or Surabasa.
One thing with Clash is you don't know what you're getting. I've seen Clash maps go 5 and 4. I've seen some Clash maps go like 1 to 2 minutes, and that's just a steamroll. So Clash is the most unique game mode and map choice because it can go one of 2 different ways, and it's just, you know, anybody's guess of what we're going to see and how long it's going to last. But I know it's the most controversial. Is like either you like it or you hate it.
All right, well, we are going to cut it to a break. When we come back, we will have our selection for map number 3. We're even after 2. Which team is going to take the lead in map number 3? Stick around to find out.
Feel my heart, it's beating. Oh, my body's breathing. It's just you and me. Feel my heart, it's beating. Oh, my body's breathing. It's just you.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Right now, we are sitting at an even 1-1 in our very first playoff match of the season. 0907 takes Hollywood, but now it is on Completely Melted to select our third map, and they have selected Havana for map number 3.
Oh, interesting choice. Because there are some points where you can dive. At the same time, it's usually all/push payload. Let's go see first. That first point, there is some dives, and widows are usually picked on defense. So there could be a widow duel. It'd be interesting. Probably a tracer to try to blink around, get in the back line, get on top of that, and harass the harass the widow. Interesting pick.
Yeah, it is. I haven't seen Havana in competition for a very, very long time. You know, mostly because throughout the rest of the regular season, you know, Escort was usually, you know, a map 5 tiebreaker, right? That's not the case in the playoffs. For those of you who are unaware, as I was, because I am a stupid idiot, the map pool, like, the map types are not set. So, you know, what it was all season was, you know, control, hybrid, clash point, escort, or push, and then escort. Now the teams, you know, when they lose a map, they can pick from the entirety, much like, you know, how OWCS has worked, right? So Completely Melted goes into their bag and pulls out Havana, and I'm really interested because there's a lot of things that they can run. I am curious, are they going to stick to this Malga? And if they are sticking to this Malga, are they only picking Havana because, you know, it is the lesser of the evils in this map pool, right? Because the other ones are Dorado, Route 66, and Shambhala Monastery. And I mean, this is just the I don't want to say the best, but it's not the worst, right? It's not bad for the Malga. The other 3 maps are, you know, pretty damn good for the dive that we already saw that 0907 has a pretty decent proficiency on. So I wonder, did they select this map because, hey, we want to take this map type out of play? Or are they going to do with this? They'll run the Sigma, the poke here on map number 2, and really on the defense? Why not?
Yeah, I would think Sigma on attack or defense on attack, just have the snipers behind pushing. I figured Completely Melted with that team composition would be attacking.
Welcome back, guys. Completely Melted was on the attack. 0907 wanted to attack. So we'll be back in just a second. Having said that, I really, really liked what I saw from Completely Melted out early. I'm not sure if 0907 is going to, you know, stick with what they were playing. That is a very, very Completely Melted composition that we saw from them with that Malga. On the other hand, Completely Melted hovering the Sigma in the attack spawn. I think Sigma is an excellent selection on Havana. The sightlines are so long and so straight that Sigma and the poke composition as a whole is, you know, almost at its best on Havana, much like it would be on Circuit Royal, right? So I really, really love that Sigma selection, if that's what we're going to see, because obviously we're restarting the map. We're putting Completely Melted on to the defense now. I would love to see them on that Sigma. Would not be entirely surprised if we saw them switch. And we won't. Okay, so they are going to remain on this Sigma with a double sniper comp. Okay, never mind.
Bro, we keep getting debated, man. We keep getting debated. In any event, like we're getting the Widow v Widow duel, like I said. We're getting Sigma v Sigma, Juno v Juno. The only difference is a May and Bab versus Brig and Hanzo. Double sniper is gonna be interesting. There's gonna be lots of pokiness, and then App can put out a lot of healing and May sustain on the point. So it's going to be very interesting to see.
All right, into Havana we go. Recently reworked. I'm very, very excited to watch this go down. These Sigmas trading shields, trading shots, looking for the first bit of damage. Debsy, a little bit of an annoyance there with that whip shot being applied to them early. Hyper ring in from Ducky early, and one out from Rod to push back and give them a little bit of space, but not wanting to give up a whole hell of a lot. A little bit of pressure from Bones onto this Sigma, though. I mean, the backing up just coming through so quickly. A little bit of damage into Bones. This Sigma just, I mean, absolutely deleted. Bones still in the back line. Probably, yeah, will live here as 0907 tries to escape.
Yeah, that was just a good back and forth, and right now it looks like Dipsy's getting the better of these Sigma duels, so to speak. Widow really has had that good, like, shot, or the, you know, that within milliseconds of a headshot, or, you know, a pick. It's just both teams are still filling each other out to see when they want to engage or who's going to make that first mistake. So it's very interesting to watch.
Back in, Hyper rings out early, but Jonowich is as well. A lot of pressure on that Widowmaker from Bones. Some nice little shots from those shurikens, but without Jonowich, it's going to be a very safe play from 0907. Don't want to get too aggro.
Yeah, you don't want to get too aggro, because then you're going to, it can snowball and trickle in.
Oh!
Damn.
Comex and Karama dead and buried. Cruz able to drop Bones, so still a very much winnable fight. Unfortunately, now that Debsy and Rod have fallen, 2 minutes on the clock, and 0907 will push around the corner.
They're going to push, but right now you're going to have 5 volts versus basically 5 ults. It's going to be which ult comes out first. It's going to be the real interesting one for me. Because the BAP, I'm kind of curious what we're going to try to put that BAP ult, try to get the most value out of it.
Are they going to touch? They don't. Bones gonna fall, and they're still going to be investing. The Blizzard comes out from Karama, going to claim the life of Debsy, or rather Willie, and I mean, that hurts.
Yeah, even if you invest all those ults, you'll cap the point. So like they're spawning literally right there. And you invested 3 ults into that. You still got both support ults, but on the side of 107, you can pull sights up to see them, and you can have a tank ult and your 2 support ults to use whenever you feel like using them.
Right off angle. Oh, a nice little headshot, but that fall off a little too much. Gravitic Flux in from Willie. Going to claim Rod with the orbital ray as well. A little bit of denial of space and time from Completely Melted as they lose out in this fight, and 0907 properly begins their push.
You know, right there, the team kill, that's going to be pretty much a full-on reset. And you get back, you're going to be over halfway through the second point right here. You still have Brig Rally if you need the shields. Versus, I'm assuming, Completely Melted's going to try maybe Orbital Ray to, you know, make some space, get some picks, and be able to get back. Ooh!
Okay. All right, so an excellent beginning there from the Sahara. Pressure relieved off the back line. And into the back line goes 0907 and the orbital ray, all but useless for Completely Melted as 0907 got onto a slow start, but they're rolling now.
Yeah, 0907 got out. I figured they were going to try to use, Completely Melted was going to use their orbital ray, but Sahara got a pick from Narnia and was like, okay, we're going to engage now. And ooh!
Oh, wow. Okay, Kurama. A taste of Sahara's own medicine for a moment. So, 0907, you know, a little bit of pressure, but relieved, but it's still very, very close to the spawn door is this fight. Sahara from the off angle, looking for Rod. I mean, very, very dangerous positioning. Gravitic Flux from Depsy. Gonna find a lot of damage into their opposition. That mirror image going to survive, though. D-Cruz on the off angle sees their mirror image, but going to have to escape for a moment as Completely Melted tries to back off.
They're going to back off right there. And you see, you got 3 minutes to push this right here. But you see, both Widows are both really good sound, good positioning. And both teams are respecting both Genjis. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen right here.
Dash is good to claim Bones' life. Dragon Blade now pulled. Could claim Jonowich and Will. Unfortunately, the dash goes a little bit wide there for Kurama as they try to clean up Willie. D-Cruz good for 2 there. Almost 3. Get that cleanup as 0907 was sent back to spawn with 2 minutes on the clock.
And that's what Melted. You know, they needed some motivation. They needed some get their minds right now. All of a sudden now with that team weight and better right now, looks like they're getting a little more composure. And here comes both orbital rays.
I mean, Depsy is just so deep in to the enemy team here, and these orbital rays are just going to be helpless and useless, or at least the one from Completely Melted is, as well as that Amp Matrix. 0907 will begin their push properly here on B or C.
Yeah, they're steadily pushing it right now. They got right at 70 meters, a minute and a half. You're right here. The one thing I'll say is only ult really on the table right now is Depsy's ult, which is huge. 0907 has used a lot these last 2 engagements. So it's gonna be interesting to see if one of these Widows gets the opening pick off again, or these Genjis can dive and get it.
I mean, Accretion already invested, but cannot pick up the Sigma, unfortunately. Rock going to claim 1 there, but Depsy just gets so fast and dead. I mean, it's so quick there to kill Depsy. Gonna have to return on a faster character, more than likely. Yeah, gonna be on the Doomfist. That's 45, or rather, I guess the Reinhardt. Okay, Kurama pulls the blade. Gonna return on the fight. The Reinhardt going to be a little bit low, going to get killed by this Gravitic Flux. And with 30 seconds on the clock, all hope is lost for Completely Melted on the defense. 30 seconds for 0907. Completely Melted has got a monumental task in completing this map ahead of them.
Right now, Pure 0907 got a crap ton of confidence after that attack. Multiple team wipes. The Widows, in my opinion, were about par, about even. Like, each one was getting pick for pick. A few Genji deflects were deflecting those headshots back. The Sigma duels were very interesting, but I think Depsy kind of being more aggro and kind of getting in there faster with the Juno speed boost. Is Willie staying back, getting healed, playing a little more defensive, a little more pokey, taking advantage of the aggression, and then turn around using their ults and using the accretion rocks was probably the difference. So interested to see how right now this mirror matchup is going to play out on opposite sides.
Alright, well, I mean, yeah, now it is a proper mirror image, is it not? So, yeah, I mean, I respect how Depsy is playing. I think Depsy is playing very, very well for the most part. I do not like the aggression as much. That is not what Sigma does. Sigma is the patience tank. You know, if Ramattra's a tempo tank, Sigma is a patience tank. You gotta play your distance. You cannot get up into the face constantly of the enemy team. It's just not how the character works. So as we head into the completely melted attack, we will see if the tides are going to change here. Decruise looking for an opportunity, but will be fed a bullet instead. Very low is Willie on this Sigma, but that kinetic grasp will be able to keep them alive. Shots coming through. Bones take it down their mirror image, and it will be 0907 holding on here.
That was like a huge Widow pick right there. That's why it's massive. But right now, Dempsey's getting more of the old charge, and Willie's playing more of a defensive. The Widow Sahara is just getting some free range, get some picks, and already 70 to 30% old charge versus the Widows may be a huge difference early on right now.
I mean, with Rod already dead, I mean, this is a rough start to this attack, but Bones is dead. Cruz finds an excellent headshot on to the Genji there. Rally from the back line, gonna be able to drop Kurama dead. And I mean, very surprising ultimate pops for Completely Melted. They did not expect it.
I don't think they really expected it either. As more or less, I don't know which was like, I'm on pop, rally, everybody gets shield, everybody back up, engage. Now Completely Melted's going to use it and take advantage of the aggression and get the extra shields.
All right, well, Gravitic Flux is up, and even with that rally, I mean, Rod is just going to be taken down promptly. It's just Dempsey left up, and Orbital Ray came down as well. It's looking difficult for Completely Melted.
Yeah, it's like we've talked about, like, Sigma is more of a defensive tank. He is more of a, you know, stalwart tank. He's not an aggression tank. And you can't keep being aggressive with him because it's truly, well, the last, you know, map for the last round and this round, it really hadn't paid off that much. If you're going to be aggressive, go with Ryan or like, and Ramatra or something like that.
Gravitic Flux is out, but Tom X is dead. Ducky does get traded, but Bones has pulled the Dragon Blade and claimed the lives of 2 with it, and there is only 75 seconds left on the clock right now. Completely Melted are losing grip.
Yeah, it's like 0907's like, you're gonna keep being aggressive, you can keep being aggressive now. Looks like Dempsey is swapped over to the Rhine, and D-Cruz is swapped over to the Tracer, and I believe that's it for swaps.
Oh, there is Sahara into the backline. Goes Shotwich on this Brig. The rally will not prove to be a useful investment there, but I mean, Dempsey will end up falling as Willie takes this fight essentially alone. I mean, it's an unfortunate fact that Brig can kind of still win a 1v1 against a Sigma there, especially a half Sigma, and yeah, so I mean, the Reinhardt switch pays off early.
It looks like it's swapping off early. 20 seconds left. So this is it for Completely Melted. If you want to try to extend this and try to get some more momentum going your way, but it's maybe an uphill battle, but literally no big ults are up right now except for the Brig rally for the side of Completely Melted.
Well, that rally will be invested as overtime begins. Kinetic Grasp already canceled by the stun. And I mean, the Reinhardt pick already fitting what Completely Melted wants to do so much better, as the Orbital Ray is helpless to do anything for 0907, and Completely Melted rolls through A.
Yeah, they finally get some momentum going. Looks like, hey, Sigma's not working with aggro. Ryan works with aggro. Let me go Ryan, and it's working. And now Willie switches to Ramatra, and Sahara switches to Sojourn. Let's have the Shatter, and the Shatter alone win you a team fight. Then in the next engagement, your Tracer Pulse Bomb can take out a support and win that engagement. And you can do those two things. You're Completely Melted. You get some momentum going, and you've got some confidence brewing.
Whole economy in rotation in play, but the Shatter finds a goose egg. Now, Dragon Blade's pulled, dueling between these two Genjis, and unfortunately, Dempsey has the third sword in this match, and it's just bigger and stronger. The hammer claims bones, and Completely Melted continues to roll.
Now it's like how last round 0907 was like a completer team. It's like they were just the better team, you know, like more cohesive unit. Now Completely Melted looks and feels like that right now. It's like they've got their mojo going, and we may have a map and a series on our hands.
Now, I mean, Dempsey very, very intelligently going to drop down to the low ground. Does not want to deal with this Ramatra form. A little bit of schmoves there from Ducky. Sahara is so unbelievably low, but the healing comes through. Rod able to escape, able to live, able to pop the rally. Willie in the back line trying to keep this fight rolling, but no Nemesis form in sight. Gonna get stunned, gonna get taken down, could not pop. The Annihilation and Completely Melted have awoken.
That's the, if you count that, that's the third straight team wipe and team kill they've had in their engagements. Now, here's the thing. You have 2 minutes on the clock. Well, 0907 has 33 seconds. So even if you cap this, you gotta cap it as soon as possible. If not, if there is, we're gonna have a bigger time bank. So it's gonna be interesting to see like how fast they can push this payload, or will he wait to the very last minute?
Earthshadow ready to go. Gonna find only. It's gonna find nothing again. The orbital ray did come down from the side of 0907, but it's going to be so frustrating finding that the later orbital ray is usually the better one. But the Annihilation from Willie going to keep 0907 above the water level, and Completely Melted will be forced back into the spawn.
Yeah, I was thinking that Willie would save the Annihilation till later, unless they can build another one. But Sahara has the Sojourn has the ult, and that could literally do a lot of damage to shields and get some good body shots going.
Alright, well, that overclock will get invested, as will the Nemesis form from Willie. So, I mean, a little bit of damage out, and the aggression comes through because they know that Nem form is gone. Rallying the hands of Jonowich now going to be popped, as well as Rods. The Dragon Blade pulled by Kurama, but it's just not enough there, as it will be 0907 pushing right back into the spawn doors of Completely Melted.
Now, this is the last thing if you're Melted, is now you get your mojo back, but also you now have less time banked than 0907. So if you do push it, they will guarantee now have more time. And if you're 0907, this is it. And Dipsy switches back to the Moaga.
Yep, going to be a nuisance here. And 0907, they are going to understand that. I mean, not a whole lot in the ultimates department, though, from the side of Completely Melted. Nothing, really. I mean, a little bit of an ante on the bones, but I mean, Rod going to claim their own life, and with it, the map is 0907's. I mean, there's just a Mauga on the point, pushing for free. I mean, this is going to allow people to come back out of spawn. If Dempsey can live here, that, I mean, they did not turn around, and because they didn't turn around, they're going to give up the fight.
D-Crew's got 2 big picks off Chroma. Fill off the map, I think, but D-Crew's getting picks like crazy.
Well, Annihilation in from Willie. There's going to be a lot of... Oh, my God.
That was a certified CGL S14. That was interesting last few minutes of that engagement. Interesting kills, picks, ults being used, abilities. That was just unbelievable, to say the least.
Completely Melted won that fight. I mean, that was their fight to lose. It was so strange. It's not something that we see super often, right? What Completely Melted did, I mean, they had two people on the point. It was, I believe, Debsy and Kurama were on that point. They were just putting pressure on the point, keeping the overtime rolling for as long as it was, I guess. But what it did was split 0907's attention because they tried to keep their attention on the spawn doors of Completely Melted. Unfortunately, they had to turn around eventually because that cart was going pretty far, pretty quickly, way more than they would have liked to. And I mean, it allowed the respawns to come through from Completely Melted. Ultimately, the ending is not indicative of how that fight could have gone. But, I mean, 0907, they are definitely sighing, like, taking a breath of relief because they got very, very lucky there.
Yeah, lucky head with the lucky rabbit's foot, lucky charms, everything right there at the end of that. It was nutty and chaotic. I still can't wrap my head around what we just saw. Like, and if you're completely melted, sick to your stomach after that. If you're 0907, thanking the heavens after that. That was just unfreaking real. Believable.
All right. Well, that map's over, believe it or not. We do have our map selection in from the other side. As I guess I'm moving in slow motion now. But for map number 4, we are headed to Runa Sapi. And I think this is an interesting one because of the maps that Completely Melted could have taken us to in this push map pool, I feel like Runa Sapi is probably the worst. I feel like it is the single best dive push map that there is in the game. It's so vertical, right? There's so much high ground to control in this map that if you're not running a dive, it's going to be very, very difficult to control it. So I am very, very interested to see what the plan is here for Completely Melted headed into Runa Sapi.
See, Depsy's play Rhine very aggressively, unless they're trying to do that. Maybe like charge in like a Winston Wrecking Ball or Diva diving in. The Moaga's more annoying than anything. Do aggro, but if he's going aggro, I say play Rhine and just see if you can farm the shatters like crazy. But we shall see.
All right, Runa Sapi for map number 4. Completely Melted need to bring us to parity to head to a 5th map to potentially win this series. We will see, and that is a Mauga through the wall, and Debsy sticking it to, well, I guess the guns in kind of a literal sense of the Mauga. I mean, this is what they have proven that they want to play. It's proven that they're good at it. So, I mean, it's not surprising. 0907, on the other hand, they're going to be playing in Orisa comp.
I mean, Orisa, even all the changes and everything, she's still a very, very, very good solid. She is an anchor tank. She can stabilize. She can, you know, knock people away. The ult is really, really good. But usually only really never seen Orisa, but kind of interested to see if the Orisa works right here.
All right, well, Debsy entering the fray very, very quickly with that sprint, is trying to get the healing, but Willie is just going to feed him a spear as 0907 will be able to win out that first fight.
Bless you, brother. But yeah, as you like your thoughts, 907 gets the team wipe right there. They're gonna start pushing the robot after Completely Melted and pushed a little bit. Yeah, it looks like they're gonna do a reset, get together, and figure out what they need to do.
All right, back into the fray comes Completely Melted. Nice little push here to begin the map for 0907. But this second fight, as always, one of the most pivotal in the game. A little bit of pressure here from D Cruz and Depsy. That, that cardiac overdrive is so frustrating to play against, as the Malga will enter the fray again. D Cruz gets the healing, gets the Wraith form up to the high ground. As this can be definitely a fight win still here, and it looks like it will be a fight win still for Completely Melted. It is a 2 versus 1, both supports versus a Genji. Which is going to win? It looks like Bones is going to opt to bail out of the fight.
That's smarter. He gets old and he said, I can't afford to lose in triple him. I'd rather lose this. Because we got the advantage of like 0 at the time to 44.87. So he can come back in with a bleed if he needs to.
Alright, well, both teams well back into this fight. Now rally out from Jonowich. The answer is the Kitsune Rush! Death Blossom claims Ducky, but Willie and a few others are going to be able to take down that Reaper in tow. Bones pulls the Dragon Blade, but Kurama is killed by the Terra Surge, and Willie, with very little gas left in the tank, will be taken down as 0907 look to take the lead here on their push.
It looks like, Completely Melted using that aggression right now. I think Willie might want to consider swapping, but Bones got nothing on the Dragon Blade, which really hurts, but Sahara's ult right here from the Sojourn could open things up, but I'm expecting both Orbital Race to come out and just a massive straight up brawl on the point. Whatever wins, wins.
Lead claimed as well as close spawns. So, Completely Melted are very comfortable right now, but as D Cruz is dead. Now the Dragon Blade pulled. The Orbital Ray is not enough to save you here. The Dragon Blade claims a couple. Kurama does end up falling, but the push continues for Completely Melted.
And yeah, the Genji's just gonna dive around, jump around. Really just Bones is just very bad spot. And that's gonna literally stabilize, Completely Melted even more. And no, Evan's just Willie switches over to the Mwaga. We're getting the Mwaga beat Mwaga duel.
Alright, well, there is the blue one. Debsy getting a little bit aggro, gonna be able to grab that health pack, get rid of that tick burning fire. Cardiac overdrive in the hands of both, as Sahara going to pop the overclock. Debsy, a lot of HP there, as they're going to be able to weather that storm. The Kitsune Rush from Tom X could definitely keep Completely Melted well in this fight, and Willie hiding behind a box because they're so low, and 0907 are going to be taken down again, and it's just Willie left.
The Completely Melted said, we C9, we want revenge, and they are just playing out their skull right now. They're saying, hey, we're gonna get last map's image out of our heads, and we're gonna play this map. And so far it is working to perfection, and they look like the good aggressors.
Well, D Cruz maybe a little bit too much of a good aggressor there, taken down right out of the Wraith form, and Rod and Kurama will follow, but a considerable lead for Completely Melted.
115 to 44, that's massive right now. You could easily hop in these good spawns right here, right before it gets to the midway point, and start pushing and keep advantage of your spawns.
All right, well, back across the halfway point for 0907. Will deny the close spawns for now, but they already have come through. But Orbital Ray in synchronicity there, as the Death Blossom in the cage fight finds 3 rip and tear for D Cruz. Does end up going down, but Completely Melted will win that fight out, and it was expensive from both sides.
You lost both Orbital Rays, you lost both cage fights, and now Bone switches over to Sombra. Interesting pick, and D Cruz used his ult, but almost got theirs, and Tomix has almost got their ult. So the Kitsune Rush could open a lot of things up right here.
Well, the Bones EMP has got to be big because Sombra's bad. So Depsy needs to stay alive here. Well, D-Cruz did too, I suppose. The hack gonna come through. Depsy gonna just run right through it, and Bones will claim that the damage from the pulse bomb negligible, as Completely Melted will just have to escape.
Yeah, they're just going to get out of there. Like, it's just lost too many people. You use your tank, that's it. But you're right. Bones EMP has got to be massive. Should use that and get a pick, and then use Sahara's ult as the Death Blossom.
All right, 4 claimed by the EMP, but the cleanse comes through, as well as the Kitsune Rush. Sahara with the Death Blossom gonna be able to find a pick, and the Kitsune Rush will find none. Close spawns claimed for 0907.
Now you're 55 to 115, you're 60 meters away, and now you feel 0907 slowly getting that momentum going, slowly trying to win this 3-1. They do have the Brig Rally, which is the only ult coming up, and Kurama can probably get the pulse bomb out, and the pulse bomb can use to kill people.
Well, Bones and Ducky are already dead, so this will be a denial fight, or just a runaway and do not die fight for the rest of 0907, as Completely Melted will get their bot back across the middle.
Yeah, it looks like they're pushing the robot, and then both Waga's ult charges are almost about the same.
Oh! What a trick for Kurama with the Pulse Bomb 3! Count them! 3 for the Tracer of Completely Melted, and the ultimate claims this a fight for the team. That is all they need!
That was just really needed by Completely Melted. That gives them some momentum and some breathing room. And now both cage fights are out, so I'm assuming both cage fights are gonna come out right here around this bob with a minute plus left. And it's still anybody's game.
Scary deal is that D-Cruz has Death Blossom and will pop it. Another rip and tear for Cruz as the bot gets closer and closer to that finish line for Completely Melted.
This map and this game has been completely nutty from both sides. And now Sahara's on the Widow trying to get these last few minute picks as it's right there at the end. Can they touch? Can they stabilize? We go to a 5.
Depsy will fall. The Kitsune Rush comes out just after the death of the Malga, but Bones is the trade. A nice little accretion there onto the Kiriko. A little bit of pressure on the point from Willie trying to bring this bot back. Willie will fall though. You know, regardless of how this fight ends up going, it's denying so much time for 0907.
It is, because right now you got less than a minute left, and you literally got to push it literally all the way across the other map just to win this and go 3-1. So you literally from here to the end of overtime, you cannot afford to lose not one team fight if you're 0907. If you're Completely Melted, you just say, hey, one team fight, one win, we go to a map 5. So it's desperation on one side, it's more calmness on the other side.
Well, EMP is out, going to land onto Depsy. Unfortunately, not going to find anything else with that EMP. Kurama forced to use the recall, but Bones can be taken down here and will be tracked down. 10 seconds left. Cruz is the trade. Rally, orbital ray down from the side of 0907, but Completely Melted are more than happy to take that win. Those two ultimates gone, and overtime begins.
Overtime is beginning, but Cruz does have the ult, which means you could Wraith Form, teleport behind them, Death Blossom, and get both supports. Lucky, and maybe try to get some of Willie as the tank, but it's would really open things up and really put a big hurt on 0907, so you gotta keep an eye out on the Reaper.
All right, back in. D-Cruz caught out, so they know where this Reaper is residing. Wraith Form force. Death Blossom still ready to go. Hack comes through, but the damage may have already been done. Recall forced out of Kurama, but Willie is so damn low. Bones looking to try and chase it down. This opposition flex DPS. Able to live though is Kurama. The hack comes through, but Rod FD has thrown down the orbital ray, and in the very first series of the CGL Season 14 playoffs. We are headed to a map number 5.
Yeah, we are headed to map 5, which is what you want. This is Dipsy with the play of the game. I'm assuming this is a Dipsy cage fight and a Reaper Death Blossom.
Oh man, I mean, that is how you respond to a critical mistake, right? You do not let it get into your head. You come back swinging. And Completely Melted are not done yet. A 5-map series to begin this playoff. And map number 5, it will be one of our Clash Point maps. It'll be Throne of Anubis, Suravasa, New Junk City, or Hanaoka. That's the one. But for now, we are going to take a break, and when we come back, we will have the ultimate conclusion to a banger beginning to the playoffs.
Stay tuned.
Water is the softest and most yielding substance, yet nothing is better than water for overcoming the hard and rigid, because nothing can compete with it. Lao Tzu.
Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave. straight new wave. Name straight new wave.
All right, welcome back, everybody. After 4 maps, we are at parity, 2-2 after a win on Runa Sapi for Completely Melted. For map number 5, though, 0907 is going to bring us to New Junk City.
We got a map 5. Who would have thought first playoff series we get 5 maps with Fletch? He wouldn't have it any other way. You got to have 5 maps to start off. We have an absolute banger right here, and there's a winner's bracket and I believe a loser's bracket. So these 2 teams could meet again. Man, what a series! Both teams look dominant at times. The dives look good for 0907. The brawl has looked good for Completely Melted. Now we're going to New Junk City, where I've seen Winston work, I've seen Diva work, I've seen Wayne work, I've seen Ramatra work. Probably see the Mwagas again. What do you think we're getting, man?
I mean, if I'm being entirely honest with you, I don't think Completely Melted are going to stray from their, too far from their comfort, right? I think it's going to be Maga all the way down the page for Completely Melted. But for 07, we've seen quite a lot of different looks for them. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Maga come out of them, like we did at the end of Runa Sapi. A couple of other good shouts. I mean, the Orisa, the Diva, I think is a very good shout for them. Or even the Junker Queen. I think the Junker Queen on New Junk City, on both of the Flashpoint maps for that matter, she is a very, very strong selection overall. And as we get ready to head into the map, we will see what these teams are rocking. Of course, through the walls, those blue outlines, more than likely, that is Completely Melted, will be on the blue side. And on the other side, it'll be 0907 staying on the Mauga. What I do not like is the Sombra. Sombra is awful right now. So, I mean, Bones is going to have to get a hell of a lot of value out of that pick if they are going to be able to justify it. But as always, point number 1 is going to be the arena. Depsy poking out there, dealing so much damage. Gonna run in, gonna get those crits, gonna break through the shield. Jonowich so damn low and dead at the hands of the Malga, and Depsy curb stomping left and right. Completely Melted, gonna grab the first fight.
Right there, Dempsey was like, I'm going to be the aggro guy. We're going to do what work for us best. And right now, almost 50% ult charge. And I agree with you, King. Sombra, ever since her nerfs, she's kind of, I'm not going to say unplayable, but there's better DPS picks, so I would swap off it.
I mean, already dead. Rod in the backline. not even particularly close to this objective right now, and I mean, Completely Melted are just absolutely running it into the face of 0907.
They're like, you know, they're like, they beat 0907 after the midseason playoffs, and right now they're on the verge of doing it 2 games in a row. Granted, a month spaced up, but losing to a team twice in a month, like, they just look like they're the aggressors. They're gonna have all 5 ults coming up right now, and yeah, I think if you use EMP, swap off, do something else.
Oh, this cage fight is colossal as the orbital ray comes down, as well Sahara gets stuck in the cage fight and Completely Melted, just absolutely curb stomping through arena.
Now they're gonna push in. The one thing I don't like right there is they use 3 ults, but you do have both DPS ults versus 7's gonna have 4 ults because they both used orbital ray. So I'm assuming they're gonna try to rally with the cage fight and maybe try to EMP around it, try to blow everything, try to unlock it.
There's the EMP. Cruz is going to be the first to fall here. So, you know, a decent little ultimate there from Bones. What happened to you? You got EMP'd. But as, I mean, wow. I mean, Bones is going to fall here. So, I mean, there is a trade of DPS. And now, I mean, the pressure on the point is real. Death Blossom out from Sahara. Not going to find a target, but Depsy ends up getting chunked down by this Reaper, knocked off the high ground. 0907 will be able to grab this point more than likely. The Dragon Blade gets pulled, and the Dragon Blade and the Death Blossom keep Completely Melted in the fight, and they're going to grab this right from the jaws of defeat.
I was not expecting that, but and Karama, what, 10 HP in a dream, able to heal up with after the blade. That is huge. For Completely Melted to be up 33%, 1/3 of the way already to this point of the map. Right now, Nanasum does have the cage fight, but really nothing else to go with it. And Bones is still on the Sombra.
All right, Willie in, like you said, has the cage fight, going to pop it. I mean, that rally going to be very annoying. Is I mean, very smart using that infinite ammo to turn and look at Depsy, but we've seen Completely Melted be able to bring these back from the brink before without Depsy. Doesn't look like that is going to be the case this time around. 80% is all that Completely Melted will gather.
Still good. That's still like, you know, 83%. You're still like, hey, one team fight, we can flip it and get some momentum going our way. So that's which is what you want if you're Completely Melted. For Zone 907 is we got to start now. Bones will probably have EMP for this engagement. EMP's huge. It can stagger some more picks. Completely Melted though, you're the aggressor. It can make all the difference.
Bones has gathered a second EMP, but not even gonna get a chance to use it. I mean, the orbital ray comes down, and it's just not enough to keep Willie in this fight. I mean, it's just absolute domination from Completely Melted, and 0907 will be lucky to get another touch. They won't.
I don't think they're going to get another touch unless Sombra wants to touch, but Sombra's from touching just maybe EMP. See somebody get there and fall behind it, maybe with a Brig Rally, but Death Blossom is there.
Bones gets the touch, but immediately dealt with by Cruz. That EMP will not get used as Cruz picks up a hat trick. Make that 4 for Cruz is Completely Melted are rolling through New Junk City.
Flashpoint bomb.
Now, this is it if you're 0907. Like, this is, we're probably gonna get there first with the Lucio speed boosting. But man, this is it. This is got a chance at winner losers bracket, but this might be it for this map right here. And losing 2 straight to Completely Melted, you do a lot to their mentals.
All right, well, not even gonna wait for the cage fight to come down. It will earn them a very quickly earned fight win, but I mean, I gotta wonder, was that too early?
Yeah, I mean, they got the team fight. I think they did it as a, we got to get a team fight. We got to get some momentum. Willie switches over to Diva. to kind of do some DMing and eat some of these bullets from Waga. As you're up, you got pretty much 4 ults instead of completely melted. 1 or 2 of those wins it for you. Sahara still has the Death Blossom if need be.
All right, Hack is out on the Depsy, and I mean, Sahara with that Death Blossom in the cage fight. With 3 of his own, it is just Bones left standing, and there's not much alone Sombra can do. Completely melted once again. Rip the win out of the jaws of defeat.
Man, I was not expecting that. Depsy popped it, and I was like, oh, that's pretty much over. And then all of a sudden, both DPS ults come up and they flip it. 58% now to 20. But you will have Brig Rally. You will have Orbital Ray kind of built up easily. So you can use those 2 to stabilize for this engagement.
Well, Flip to come back through. That is unfortunate. Luckily, Sahara goes down for the side of Completely Melted. The mech dealt with swiftly, but you know, a fight lost, but a great little denial of time there for 0907.
Yeah, they were able to get like 58 to 70, and it flipped over. Now you're at 50 to 70. So you still got 2, possibly 3 engagements, depending on the flips and what all happens here. Willie has the D.Va self-destruct. To me, use self-destruct if you need it. Like, because there's no shield on the side of Completely Melted.
Okay.
The break
I
shield.
mean, Kitsune rush into the orbital ray. Jonowich is the first to fall, and there was an attempt at a stun there with the stomp. Will not get it, but over to the point we go. Bones has EMP. Will invest it. 3 hit by the EMP as the fight continues to rage on here. This cardiac overdrive will not be enough to keep Depsy in this fight, and unfortunately, no more miracles for Completely Melted just yet, as 0907 will stabilize, and they've got 1 more fight to win this point.
They get 1 more fight. The only thing is, like, Sahara has the Tracer Pulse Bomb, and John Witch has the Beat Drop. So you can use the Beat Drop to stabilize and Pulse Bomb to try to kill somebody. So versus Completely Melted really has no ults or anything to go with it, except for the Death Blossom could be huge again.
I mean, Recall invested early as well as that Pulse Bomb. I mean, Death Blossom will come out here, but an incredible boop! The read from Jonowich to put the Reaper in a poor position, and Bomb Flats belongs to 0907.
Next, Flashpoint, Junkyard.
Flip that point, get some momentum going, but not the clear yet. They got to win 2 more points, where Completely Melted's got to win 1 point, and it looks like Cruz now switches over to the Tracers for a Tracer v Tracer duel in the back lines, and seeing who's going to win the best of that battle. And Karuma does have the Dragon Blade, which has been huge so far this series.
All right, couple of ultimates coming up here for Completely Melted. 86% for the rally and the cage fight, but Kitsune Rush is the opening play. The Dragon Blade pulled, Bones cut down, Ducky fell, the sound barrier invested. Will it keep them up? A 2-for-2 trade in this fight. Deflect up for Karama. Jonowich very low, but able to weather the storm. And I mean, self-destruct to get back into the mech there briefly, as 0907 will be able to win this fight out should they kill this Malga. Will they kill the Malga? The answer is no, they can't kill. Depsy gets hacked out of cage fight. A critical error from the side of Completely Melted, and 0907, it's still a 2-for-2 trade, because D Cruz and Karama, the playmakers, the superstars, they keep them in this. Tomex goes down into 2 versus 1. The D.Va demaxed, and the point will belong to Completely Melted.
They're going to flip it out there 23%. So all that and that crazy engagement was just to cap the point. Not to win, just to cap it. So that tells you how much these 2 teams want this map win. They want the series win. 0907 showing why they're the #1 ranked team. Completely Melted showing, hey, why not us? We have as good a chance as anybody. But man, this has been a great match, great series. It's just back and forth blows like crazy.
All right, and with EMP is Bones going to use it, the investment on to the Juno. gets rid of that before the orbital ray becomes an issue. Hack out on to Dempsey. They're going to try and take care of that, but Bones has been dealt with swiftly. Self-destruct invested from Willie. Gets back into the mech. So going to be annoying as Willie gets lit back right on fire. This time going to come through, but 3 are dead. The casualties massive for 0907. They are going to be able to grab this point back.
They are, but that was 25% to 87%. And so basically, through all that in that long drawn out engagement, if you're completely melted, you go, hey, we got 2 ults and team fight, we practically win this. Versus 0907's got 2 support ults and the pulse bomb. For me, the pulse bomb's got to be huge, probably on the brig. Then if the Genji blade happens, then you pop the Geo ult.
All right, orbital ray down, invested early, pulse bomb whiffs, sound barrier out, Dragon Blade pulled to the point, goes completely melted. The Dragon Blade does not seem like it will claim a life. 90% for completely melted as they grab this point back swiftly. 97, 98, overtime begins. The mech very low, so is Bones though. Willie will be demeched early as the stomp comes through. Willie will fall. The rally invested from Rod as well as the cage fight from Dempsey, and completely melted come back. The back-to-back wins over the mid-season champions, completely melted in a 5-map giga banger. They get the job done. They move on in the upper bracket.
What a series. What a match. And that was just our first one. We got, what, 2-3 weeks of this? Like, oh man. KC, the Brig played the game by Rod FD. Like, even still to this day, Brig's shield gets nerfed. Some of her abilities get nerfed. Brig's still a liable support. Juno gets nerfed. Juno's still probably the support. That's still probably the support line that we're going to see a lot through the playoffs.
I mean, everybody on this team is locked in, but I have to talk about this DPS line for completely melted. Time after time after time, map after map after map. There are fights where Dempsey goes down, Rod goes down, or Tom goes down, where D Cruz and Kurama are able to bring it out on their lonesome. They have so many more times than should be even possible. One, because of their playmaking potential, their damage, the kills that they get. They are, I mean, this in the EU PC Open tier has to be, you're looking at this series, they have to be one of the scariest DPS lines to watch, because 0907, you know, they struggled in the back half of the season. They lost 2 games, but they won the mid-season tournament. This is a very good team. So, I mean, for Completely Melted to come in and hand them a loss like that, very close, very tough fought, but the plays being made from that side, I mean, you have to watch out for Completely Melted, because I mean, they may be evaporated by the time you know, they're getting there near the end of the playoffs. They are heating up.
Yeah, that was a huge play. Honestly, I wouldn't single out the DPS duo. I would say a complete team win. Like, you give your tip of the hat to all 5 of them. Debbie, UD Karuma, Cruz, like all those guys, like they all did their job. Specifically, they all synergized, rotated their ults and abilities. So it wasn't just this line. It was like, hey, they may have cleaned up, or they may have started it, and the tank supports may have cleaned up. The supports may have kept them up. So that was overall a good, solid team win, and Completely Melted like a very good, well-coached, completed team.
All right, this series is over, but we are not done yet. We're going to cut it to a short break, and we will have a representative from Completely Melted to talk to us about this series. It'll be Tom X when we come back from the break. All right, welcome back, everybody, and we've got Tom X of Completely Melted here to talk to us and walk us through what they were thinking about this series. Tom, I mean, how are y'all feeling right now? That was an incredible series.
No, we're happy we won. Could have gone both ways, but yeah, in the end, we were confident we would win it, so we weren't really nervous. We just went with the flow and came out on top.
I mean, that is, I mean, one of the better series I've watched this season for sure. And for the first one of the playoffs to be a 5-map banger like that was incredible. But I want to talk to you about the DPS line, right, of Cruz and Kurama. Well, do y'all just trust them implicitly to do whatever the hell they want to do? Because it seems like time after time when y'all are down 1, 2, even 3 players, they just invest and they manage to get the job done. So is that just something y'all say, hey, y'all do what y'all are going to do. If we win, we win?
Yeah, I think both of our DPS players are very mechanical players. I personally put my trust in them 100% completely, because I've played with them for long enough to know that if I just let them do their thing, they're gonna clutch up. I think we saw that a lot with Kramus Genji this series, the Cruz on the Reaper sometimes popping off. I'm really glad to have a strong DPS line against all of the opponents that we have in this CGL tournament. So yeah, we just let them do whatever they want. Hero picks, whatever angles they want to take, whatever targets they want to go on, it's just up to them.
What's it like playing with a Malaga player where most people either play like a Ramatra Brawl or a dive? What different is it playing with a Malaga player?
I think Moga has that wonderful trait of if you let him out of your sight for 1 second and he decides to press shift, and you just know he's gonna disappear into thin air. So playing with a Moga is a constant like stress factor, or like ringing bells in the back of your head. Like don't ever lose sight of your Moga. Just like keep your eyes locked on him. And if you don't do that, he's gone and you lose the fight. It's just that deciding of a factor to have your Moga alive in the fight. It's kind of the most annoying part of Moga meta. It's just all revolved around that one person.
Yeah, I can imagine for sure. But I've got one more question here. Y'all were the first team to beat 0907 this year, coming out of the mid-season tournament that they had actually won. After that win, what were y'all thinking coming into this one? Like, were y'all super duper confident coming into this one, saying, "Hey, we know how they're gonna play this. We know what they're gonna do." So like, what was the thought process coming in to get this into this rematch against 0907?
I think we were mostly thinking that, we'd beat them already. We can definitely do it again. But at the same time, I don't think we had it in our minds that, yeah, this is going to be a free sweep for us. We did know that we have to put in some effort, because I know the preparation from 0907 is probably going to be more thorough, considering they have like a coach that works very, very in depth with them. And also know they swapped out their tank players, so we knew it was definitely going to be different from last time. But yeah, we just knew that we were going to stick to our game, play the maps that we're more comfortable on, and come out of top. So we weren't like worried, but we knew it would not be an easy series for us.
All right, Sam, you got anything else for Tom?
No, just congratulations, good luck, and I'm pretty sure whenever the next playoff game is, where you're going to play the winner of that match, I'm pretty sure you guys are going to watch that match intently, whether it be on CGL 1 or CGL 2, and then get with your coaches and say, hey, we played this team. What do you want the game plan to be?
Yep, I mean, we'll definitely keep an eye on what happens, and can't wait to win the next match.
All right, Tom, before we send you out here tonight, is there anybody that you want to shout out, or anything that, maybe we did not bring up, and talk about?
I just want to shout out my man RodFD on the Brigida. I really love his brig, and I'm glad we pulled out the Juno brig on the last map instead of the Juno carry. Give my man RodFD some time to shine. Yeah, we already mentioned our DPS line, and Depsy on the Moga. he stayed alive for the most part when I didn't look away from him. So I think everyone on my team deserves high praise today. And yeah.
All right. Well, congrats on the win and best of luck throughout the rest of these playoffs, Tom. And I guess I'm sure we are going to be able to talk to y'all again.
Sure. I can't wait to be on this stage again. Give you another interview.
All right. We'll see y'all later, Tom. But now for us, Sam, that's going to do it here for this very first match of the Season 14 playoffs. I could not have personally asked for a better Game 1, right? An incredible start to the season, or to the postseason, I guess I should say. I mean, if this is anything to go off of, this postseason is going to be absolutely excellent. But the postseason does not stop here for today. We've got 3 more matches scheduled for this evening. We've got Yurei Mirai coming up in about an hour or so. Actually, is that right now? That is right now.
That is right now.
So, we'll get that going very soon. BSC Bobcats versus Arise, and SCAD B Sports Black versus Cogen Endangered. Some really, really great matches here to start off the playoffs. But for now, we are going to say good night to y'all. We will head to that Yurei Mirai matchup, potentially, maybe? I don't see anybody else. But yeah, so when we come back, we will have that one for you. And you know what, Sam? That's going to do it. Hope you all have a great night, and we will see y'all next time.
Yes, sir. Keep it on our socials, bro.